Hey guys, welcome back to the cabin. What I'm doing is I'm sharpening the saw. Since I had cut up all that wood over there at the church, I hadn't sharpened it. So what I'm going to do, my plan is, once I get this sharpened, I've got some trees that I've got picked out that are tops that are laying down from other trees that I had cut or they had blown over, and I had taken some logs from them, is to take the tops that are fairly good size and make some porch posts for the front porch. My son will be here in a couple of weeks and he's going to stay for quite a few days. Hopefully we can get at least the posts set, the roof on what's going to be the front porch, not the deck portion, because I still have to rock underneath the cabin, so it would just make it more difficult if I went ahead and put the deck on. But if I can get the roof of the front porch on, then I can go ahead and get guttering and put it on the front and the back and get some sort of tank for a rain catchment system and start catching water. So that's what the plan is. And then also I'm going to stop and pick up some sheetrock and some exterior plywood because I got some plans for the inside of the cabin. We're going to try to finish the ceiling and the walls, at least in that one bedroom and its closet, which is the master closet. That way I can go ahead and move all of my stuff in there and it'll pretty much be finished with the exception of the floor. But I will probably at least do the closet floor. That way when I pack a bunch of stuff in there, then I don't really have, because the only thing that's going in the bedroom itself, that's the reason I made such a big closet, which is 6 by 12, is basically to store all the clothes and stuff. So the only thing I'm going to have is basically a bed, maybe a nightstand or something like that, because I'm not going to have any lamps. I'm going to run the whole house basically on sconces or wall mount. But that will get that portion done. And then we've got, if we have enough lumber left, I'll go ahead and build a back deck. And I had mentioned one time that instead of having steps on the back deck, I think I'm going to do a ramp. That way in the future, God forbid, if I ever ended up in a wheelchair, the ramp would already be there. Somebody made that comment and I thought, you know what, that's a really good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and build a ramp and put that in there. But yeah. So the saw needed sharpened, and I've got one side. I'm going to have to flip it around and do the other side, but that way it'll cut really good when I get ready to saw those posts up. So this stuff here is the resinous material that I take off of the logs when I get them on the sawmill. One thing, I don't want to run the blade through this because it's very sticky, especially if it's hot outside and it gets sort of runny. So I try not to get it on the blade. But the other thing is it's very flammable. So I save all this stuff, and generally when you see me starting a fire in the cabin or something, you're just holding a little piece and lighting it up. It doesn't take very much and it burns for quite a while. That's what the way, and also up there at the outdoor kitchen, that's the way that I start the fires. So I've got a bag down here full of it, and this is some that I got the other day, so I will put that in the bag. But I have got a very rich supply, or a large supply I should say, of pine rosin. The difference between resin and rosin, this is rosin, okay? It's in its solid state. When it becomes resin, it's in its liquid state, if I'm not mistaken. But you could probably check that out. Anyway, I've got a rich supply of rosin that I can always start my fires with, and that really makes it easy. Even when the wood is wet, I still am able to, and I carry some of this in my backpack too. so that I'm always able to start a fire, providing that I can find some semi-dry material. Generally underneath an evergreen type of a tree, the bottom limbs are always dry somewhat, and they're very thin and brittle, so you can generally break those off, and if you can get enough of them, even when there is some material out there that's wet, you can keep the fire going long enough sometimes to dry the little bit larger portion out, because I always do it in a stepwise fashion, real fine stuff to stuff that maybe is not quite as big as a pencil, and then pencil size, and then right on up. But yeah, so that's really good, really handy to carry. This is where the fat wood comes from, because the wood itself has this rosin on the inside of it, and that's why it's so red looking, especially in the pines. And that is the material that, when you've seen me scrape it off with a knife and start it with my fire steel, this is actually what I'm lighting up, really fine small pieces, and it will catch like that. So yeah, it does pay to keep some of that to be able to start fires with. So this tree stump right here, the reason that I saved it is because I kind of like the way that it was shaped. Here comes the ball. What? You want me to throw the ball again? Huh? Again? Throw it again? What? Okay. Hold on. That's all I do all day long. But anyway, what I'm going to do is make some end tables out of this, and I don't know, I'll probably get maybe 4 by the time I start getting down to where it's not going to be as big as I actually want them. But who knows, you know. I figured that it would make a really nice end table. So I'm going to have to go play ball again. But that's, you know, when I find a unique piece of wood like this, then I try to save it, and this has been drying out since last year, so hopefully once I saw it up, it won't really crack on me when I make some legs out on it. But anyway, that's what this is for. Also, I mentioned before, I'm going to be making my own bed frame out of this kind of material too, so y'all stay tuned for that, because that should be a fun build. Shouldn't take too long, maybe a couple of days, but it should be fun. I'm going to try to build, you know, some of the pieces of furniture that the cabin is going to have. So anyway, that's what this is. You interrupted me. That's what this is for. Now, do you want me to throw the ball? Huh? The ball? Watch out. Watch out. You want me to throw the ball? Huh? Okay, let's go. You ready? Here we go. He's going to kill himself one of these days making those turns. He runs into stuff all the time. So this tree right here is the one that has fallen due in a windstorm. He's digging holes in the water. But I think that I'm going to be able to get at least 3, maybe 4 logs, what I need to cut my 2x6s out of for the front porch. So this will really come in handy. I didn't intend to cut it because it was a white pine, and what I mean by that is it has these nice, or had these nice big furry needles on them. So I try to leave these, and I cut the yellow pines. They're the ones that primarily has all of the really small pine cones, and they're just full of them. These do have some, but not like the yellow pine. They're just loaded with them. But anyway, I'm going to, that's why I was sharpening the saw too, because I do need to get up there, cut that so that I can pull this out. I'm going to have to tie my block and tackle onto a tree across there and pull it with the tractor down, pull it, because I won't be able to get back up in there. But once I get it down here, then I can actually get to it. But this is what I'm going to use to saw up. I think I can get all of the rafters that I need, and maybe some 1x4s to be able to screw my metal to. And you know, who knows how much I'll have left over. I may be able to get some planks out of it for the back deck. But that's what I intend on using this tree for. Well, I went ahead and pulled my, I forgot to call this my water trailer. I had it down in the hollow there for a while because it was kind of an eyesore up here. That was back in the winter time. But I went ahead and pulled it up here because I thought, well, I've got 200 gallons of water down there that's not being used. So I decided to pull it up here, and every night, of course this is the second night, but every night when I get ready to go home and the sun is starting to go down, I will water the garden. So since I've been doing that, which like I said, this is the second time, this garden has, I don't know, it seems like it has taken a different attitude. It's liking that, the onions are liking it, everything. So yeah, what I've got is a small water pump that I had bought when I first started clearing the property up here. It was damaged, and it was still in the box, but it was damaged. And what I had to do is I had to put a support on the mount, motor mount down here. So I took it up to my neighbor's house. If you can hear that in the background, he's up there forging something. But took it up there and we fixed that. So I don't remember if I got like $50 or $75 off of it. I don't remember how much I paid, but it has really come in handy because I've used it to not only pump water up here for different things, you know, mixing concrete and like doing this water in the garden, but washing the tractor and other things as well. So yeah, it's really come in quite handy, and I was glad to get that discount because it really wasn't a big deal to repair it. Just they couldn't sell it, you know, new with it broken like that. So anyway, yeah, I'm excited to have that. That's actually what I'm going to use to mix the concrete up for the chicken pen footers too. I'll just pour it out in there, and then I'll wet it down, and I'll let it set a little bit, and I'll go back and wet it down again, and it should set up just like concrete. So it's quite handy to have. And these barrels, I picked those up for, I think it was like, I don't know, $5 or $10 a piece. They're quite handy to have too. So yep, this is my water trailer when I'm not hauling other things in it. Well, I thought I would take a few minutes to get me a drink of water and answer maybe a few questions that some of the people had. I mentioned a company, and I couldn't remember if I was pronouncing it correctly or not, but talking about the garden and planting and things like that. And somebody wrote to me that Haas Tools was the company that I was referring to. They're located in Georgia. They have great planting videos also, because I've been watching several of those. They also sell seed, plants, and gardening equipment. So if you're interested, you know, in gardening equipment and things like that, check out Haas Tools, and check out their videos on YouTube, because they were very interesting. You know, I've said this before, that I've had comments like, you know, the chickens are going to help keep bugs away and stuff like that. The only bugs that they're going to be able to get to is what's inside that cage up there, and possibly that might wander into the chicken house, because I'm afraid to let them. I would prefer that they could just be able to wander around here, but I'm thinking that the dog would probably try to play with them and hurt them or kill them. So until he gets used to them, they're going to have to stay up there in the pen, in the cage, and just, you know, I'll have to feed them and water them, but that's going to be their home unless I feel like that, you know, the dog wouldn't bother them, and then I don't mind at all letting them out, and then they can go up at night. Had somebody ask me if I'd thought about making a cob oven for like pizza and baking and things like that. Anybody that's been following the channel for a while knows that I built this platform here by the fire pit for an earthen oven. But at the time, you know, it wasn't a priority that I do that, and it still isn't, because I've got the rocket stove and I've got the grill that I can cook on. But I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and start working on it. I am going to mill up some thicker planks to go on top of it though, because I want them to actually extend over the side, so I can put some slab wood around that wood box that I actually have underneath there. But that will be something that I will, you know, work on intermittently until it's done. But yeah, so when this kitchen is actually done, I'll have the earthen oven sitting right beside the fire pit and the rocket stove, so it'll be really handy. I'll just basically turn like this if I'm actually cooking over there doing something. But yeah, that's probably something that I will get to this year. Somebody was talking about also putting an automatic door on the coop up there. You know, I probably could. Don't know that I will. Don't even know that I will put a door on it. You know, when I was growing up, we had chickens, and they basically stayed outside. Some of them roosted in the trees, some of them went in the chicken house, and it wasn't anything like what I've built them here. It had actually a great big open space in there, but you know, they're animals and they're used to living outside, and you know, it doesn't really get that cold here. Every once in a while, you know, we may dip down real low, but I think that once I get things situated up there, you know, we'll just have to see. I'm not really concerned about it. but it might give me something to do. Not that I'm hurting for anything to do, but you know, there's not going to be anything that'll be able to get inside the cage, so I'm not going to have to shut the door at night for them to be able to be in there. So I think that once I get the chickens, that it'll kind of like be like Fort Knox, okay? It will be secure, and they'll be able to run in and out unless I put a door on there at their leisure, and just have a grand old time. Somebody also asked if I had enough cedar that I could make one closet cedar lined. I have 2 bedrooms that I'm building in there, but the one is not going to have a closet. You know, it's just a spare room in case somebody wants to stop by and spend the night and they don't need a closet. So, but I'm not so sure that I would want to smell that smell all the time. I mean, I do like the smell of cedar, but just constantly, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I do have some good size cedars that are down in the valley there along the creek that I could cut. I don't have any that have fallen. All of the ones that have fallen have been smaller ones that were either knocked down by another large tree, or the root system on them, you know, is not that good. So a lot of them just tip over in a big windstorm. So, but most of them are probably only this big, and I don't want to actually, you know, put a bunch of small planks in there. I would prefer the larger planks to put it on. Less hardware, you know, if I was going to do that. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Could be. I've got, you know, some ideas for the inside of the cabin, so that is a good suggestion. So we'll have to wait and see. Somebody was concerned that there may not be enough cross ventilation in the chicken house too. It's got the door that they're going to go in and out. It's got that cockeyed window that I put in there. Plus it's got the 2 front windows on the front. And then up where the metal roof is, there's a 1-inch gap all the way around because I used 1x4s on top to screw the metal to. Now the reason that I've chosen a desert sand color for all of these roofs here is because you can actually in the summertime lay your hand on it. It's not that hot, and so I didn't want it to attract heat as much as a darker roof. The other cabin that I built had a dark red roof on it. It was very pretty, but you know, it got hot. So I've tried to stay with a really light colored metal so that it doesn't attract as much heat. You know, I haven't had been in there in the summertime. I've been in the house. It's not that hot in the house. It's a much larger roof, and it's all enclosed. You know, when I come up here, the windows are closed, and of course, you know, there's a few cracks here and there because of the temporary door I've got on the back, and you know, the front where I've just got, I don't have the doors, actual doors put on yet, and I've just got that radiant barrier stuck up there. But I think that the chickens are going to be fine. If I feel like that, you know, it's too warm in there and they don't have enough, what I may do is go ahead and knock another window in the back out and put some screen in that. But yeah, no, I believe that they'll be fine because they've got the yard out there to mess around in too. And see, here in the mountains it's generally about 10 degrees cooler than it is in town, and at night it dips down and it actually kind of gets chilly. You know, when I was growing up we never even had an air conditioning. The bedroom, we just raised the windows and stuck a fan in there, and by morning you were pretty chilly because of the night air in the mountains. So I don't know, you know, we'll just have to see, but I think that they'll be okay. You know, I still get a lot of comments about why don't I live in the tiny house till I get, or why didn't I until I get moved in the cabin. And I've answered that many times, but the reason is is when I first started out up here, you know, I could get everything that I had in the sawmill. And then as I started building more buildings and acquiring more things, I needed a place, you know, to store stuff, and I just happened to run into somebody that had that tiny home, and I had the motorcycle. Of course, I hadn't been riding it for some time working up here, but he was interested in it, and I was actually interested in the tiny home. So we worked out a trade, and now it is full of supplies and equipment, and I couldn't get in there if I wanted to. Actually, I've been storing some of my other stuff in there too, as I'm bringing things up here. Things that I'm not going to pull out right yet, I'm putting them in that tiny home, and the things that I'll be using immediately, I'm putting in the cabin in there, because anything I put in the cabin is still going to have to be moved around as I finish the cabin. So I'm trying not to put too much stuff in there that, you know, only things that I would probably use, and things that I'll be able to get in that closet once I get it done. But that is the reason that I don't live in the tiny home, because I've actually had another home, and it became very useful as a tool shed and a storage shed to keep supplies and things like that in. I also have a friend that's going to be up here pretty soon. Y'all get to meet him. He's putting some things together for me. He's putting some worms together actually for me. I'm going to be starting a compost area. Don't know where I'm going to put it yet, but I'm going to build one. But anyway, I told him to be sure and let me know what day he was going to come, that we would film it, and we'd do some cooking and just have a good little chit chat and a visit. So you all like him. He's pretty funny, but I used to work with him. So anyway, yeah, he should be here pretty soon, so that'll be great to have some company up here to be able to share, you know, some different perspectives about things. But anyway, guys, be sure and go by our website and check out the details. If you're new to this channel, on our giveaways, we do monthly giveaways, and we're excited about those because we like to give back to the people that support us. And again, thank you so much for all your support and sharing our content with other people. Also, we're excited about our new milestone giveaway, so be sure and check out the details on that. And you know, we're just excited for you guys to be a part of the growth of this channel. That's the way that, you know, we actually started, and that's what we want to continue to do as we grow. You know, because of you guys, then you guys benefit more too, because you know, we really do appreciate that. So guys, I hope you have a great afternoon. My son, my daughter, and I, we really appreciate, like I said again, all your support. You all take care, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.